Okay, we're going live. And we always end up with some members of the public who watch this on YouTube and they're like, wait, why are they talking about Verizon so much? That's because today's event is a special event for Verizon volunteers. We're really privileged at SciStarter to have that volunteer partnership with Verizon. We have some awesome V-teamers who have volunteered to move science forward, which I think is really cool. So I put the link in the chat for those who can't hear, so I'll say that in the chat. Okay, there we go. For those who can't hear, you can watch the YouTube live stream instead. And for those who are watching after the fact, you may enjoy the YouTube live stream as well. Okay, I'm just getting some links queued up. So today we're delving into our main featured citizen science project is called Norika, but you all are also going to have the chance to do the stall catchers project as well if you so choose. One reason I offered both is these two projects, so they're different projects, but they both address the brain. Norika addresses dementia and other mental health conditions like depression and a bunch of different challenges. Some of them are interrelated, some aren't. So some are just depression oriented or mood disorder oriented, and others are like just dementia oriented, or sometimes there are some connections. Norika is a big platform with all these different challenges, and it's on a smartphone. So it's a global citizen science app you can do from anywhere. Whereas Stall Catchers, also an amazing project. These are both really amazing projects that I feel really privileged that they're SciStarter affiliates and I get the chance to talk to you about it. For Stall Catchers, that project is really honed in on Alzheimer's, like analyzing videos and data. So saying whether or not a blood vessel is stalled or flowing. So Stall Catchers is a really great project too. And you can do that one on a computer, a tablet, or a smartphone. So for those of you who may not have smartphones, you can just go ahead and do Stall Catchers. And for those of you that have smartphones, we can start with Norika and then move on to Stall Catchers as the event goes on. Oh, someone's done it before. That's really cool. So just a quick note, I'm going to try to keep the Zoom portion to around an hour because I want to give you time to just like participate on your own because you're supposed to get 2 hours of volunteer time for this webinar. And ideally, we'll have 1 hour together, just kind of getting up to speed, and then I'll let you all free, and then you'll have the rest of the time to just volunteer and really dive into these projects, because with citizen science, the best way to learn is to do. So I'm just going to share my screen, and we'll start off with some slides. I always like to do these as an intro, just so for folks who haven't heard of citizen science before, you get oriented a little bit. So first and foremost, hello, everybody. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. It is May. We made it. This is great. My name is Caroline Nickerson. I'm from the SciStarter team. And if you happen to drop off or you can't make the whole event during this live session, that's okay. Just watch the recording by this Friday. So by May 6th, and follow along and do the projects. And we'll consider it all well and good for the volunteer time. Your volunteer time today is counted through the webinar event that you RSVP'd for to find this on the Verizon volunteer platform. So you should be set in that regard. But if you want to keep doing the projects that we talk about today, you can find them via our volunteer community on Verizon, and you just log your time via those ongoing events. We have kind of an interesting system where we keep track of your contributions on the SciStarter side with SciStarter accounts, but you log your time on the Verizon volunteer platform. And some of you may have heard of citizen science before. Others of you may be completely new. All of you are welcome, no matter what level of familiarity you have. If you haven't learned about it, I'll quickly describe it here. And if you have learned about it, you're going to learn something new about these projects today, hopefully. So why are we here, right? Well, millions of people enjoy science and nature. Even if you don't realize it, you probably count yourself in this group. If you like birds or butterflies, if you're curious about the brain and how it works, if you've ever looked around you and pondered how the world works, you're in good company. There are millions of people just like you who enjoy science and nature and who are curious. People of all ages on every continent, of all levels of education, with all sorts of different jobs, you know, accountants, hairstylists, restaurant hostesses, statisticians, I don't know, whatever job you have, technologists, whatever you do, Girl Scout troop leader, for example. you can be interested in science and want to do it, to want to actually engage in science. And the great news is thousands of scientists need volunteers. One thing we say at SciStarter is scientists don't have enough eyes, ears, and perspectives to know everything there is to know, to understand everything that needs to be understood, to answer every question that needs to be answered. So that's where you come in. You can partner with them to accomplish so much more research than they would have been able to do on their own, to answer some of the world's most pressing questions about Alzheimer's disease, questions about animal species or plant species and how they might be changing in response to climate change. These scientists need you to collect or analyze data. And data is just information. Data can be words or pictures, pictures that you take on your smartphone that you submit to an ongoing research project. Let's say you see a bird out and about in your neighborhood, you snap a picture of it, and you send it to the iNaturalist project. That helps them log where this bird was found and helps them track populations to see where they might be doing well and where they might need some help. Are analyzing data, like the project we're doing today, stall catchers, one of the projects. You're actually looking at these videos and you do a brief training and you learn whether or not to classify a blood vessel stalled or flowing. That simple classification helps researchers come to a result about a given data set studying some aspect of Alzheimer's disease. And the list goes on and on. There are thousands of opportunities, and citizens have been engaged in every part of the process, all the way from coming up to a scientific research question to publishing the results. But most often, folks volunteer by collecting or analyzing data. And data is just information. But sometimes these scientists who need your help can't find passionate, curious people like yourselves who want to volunteer. That's where SciStarter comes in. We're the connector, we're the bridge. We connect you to real science you can do, and we connect researchers to the volunteer communities they so need to accomplish their very important work. So SciStarter is that bridge. So what is citizen science? Ultimately, it's a collaboration between scientists and those of us who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. Or another way we say it at SciStarter is citizen science allows anybody and everybody to turn their curiosity about the world into real scientific impact. And most often it's by collecting or analyzing data for all sorts of different projects, everything from astronomy to biodiversity to health to zoology and everything in between. To give a quick example, I gave you an example of an environmental project earlier, as well as a health project, stall catchers. Here's an example of an astronomy project. The Globe at Night project is a project we offer for Verizon volunteers. It's run out of the National Observatory in Arizona, but it's a global project. And they ask people all around the world to look at the constellation for that given campaign that month, go outside at around 8 o'clock local time, look up at the night sky, and indicate how many stars they're able to see in a particular constellation. If they can't see certain stars, that means their view of the night sky has been likely obscured by light pollution. And this is really helpful. This is a global census of light pollution, and this helps these researchers understand where there might be some time at places where they can intervene to reduce this problem, or where there might need to be further study. And light pollution is a really serious problem. It impacts human health, like circadian rhythms, our sleep, but it also impacts, ecosystems. As a Floridian, I always think about sea turtles and how light pollution can disrupt their migration. So citizen science gives us a data-driven understanding of the world, and that can act as a platform, a jumping off point to protect the planet. So pretty cool stuff, and it's all different scientific disciplines. So SciStarter is a big website. It's global. There are millions of people who visit it, and thousands of opportunities that researchers have added for them to discover. And folks also add events, like libraries will have meetups to do ongoing global projects, and they'll add that event to SciStarter so people can find it. Or sometimes people add tools. One popular tool is there's a project called Earth Echo. It's actually run by the Cousteau family, the famous explorers, which I think is kind of cool. And they have a water quality testing kit. So you can test the turbidity of your water, the pH, how clean it is, how good it is to drink. And you can find that tool, that kit on SciStarter. You can monitor your local water quality, and then through Earth Echo, upload your results to a global database to inform that global understanding of how water is doing. Someone said in the chat, SciStarter connected me with the NASA Globe project. Yes, NASA Globe. Oh my gosh, that's a great project. All 4 of the protocols for NASA Globe are on are part of our collaboration with Verizon. You can get volunteer time for doing them. Basically, with NASA Globe, it's an app, and you help NASA monitor the global environment through that app. So they can study things like climate change. They can ground truth their satellite data to see if their satellites are accurate. One of the protocols looks at mosquito habitats and decommissioning them. Someone said, I get to work on virtual clouds at work and work on real clouds with NASA. Yes, I love that. Yeah, clouds is one of their protocols. That's the ground truthing satellites one. You help them understand how their satellites are doing, monitoring the global environment by indicating what you're able to see of certain clouds. That's amazing. JC, if you want to email me that, we can include you in one of our next spotlights. We spotlight Verizon volunteers periodically on Discover Magazine's website and on SciStarter's blog. And we would love to spotlight you. That's an amazing line. And that would be a lot of fun. So email me, info@scistarter.org. So this is the main website. You could direct your friends and family here. We have a Girl Scouts badge. We have opportunities for people of all ages. But we have a special collaboration with Verizon, in part because we recognize that being able to page through thousands of projects can be a little overwhelming. So we've selected, at any given time, there are about 25 or so projects that we flagged as a particularly good fit for Verizon volunteers. We know that they're going to resonate with you and you're going to get some really good research done, and they align with your pillars like digital inclusion or protecting the planet. So our first step for today, if you all want to kind of go ahead and do this, you don't have to log your time through a separate project-based event today because your time's being counted through this webinar. So we can just skip right to the SciStarter Verizon microsite. But if you go to scistarter.org/Verizon, go ahead while I'm talking, make your SciStarter account. I also put the link in the chat. And we ask that you make your SciStarter account with your Verizon email instead of your personal email. And part of the beauty of this, I mentioned this a little earlier, you're able to track the number and frequency of your contributions to these affiliate projects. You monitor your time through the Verizon volunteer platform for RSVPing for those events, and there's an ongoing event for every single project on that page. But you monitor your contributions through SciStarter, which I think is kind of fun. And a point of confusion sometimes people have is affiliate projects are projects that have gone the extra mile to do some extra technological hookup with SciStarter, and they've also promised, more responsiveness to volunteers. So they've said, we'll reply to volunteer messages maybe a little faster than we would otherwise, because sometimes it can take them a little bit, up to a week. And for the Verizon program especially, we want to make sure that folks replied in a timely fashion. And the affiliate, they do the extra monitoring of contributions, and that allows us to include those projects in special programs like this one. So most of the projects on the Verizon page are SciStarter affiliate projects to allow for this extra tracking. So that's the page. Go ahead, everybody, start making your accounts, making them with your Verizon email. And all of those projects on that page also have an ongoing project tied to an ongoing event on the Verizon platform where you log your time, but not for today. I want to make that clear. Your time for today is counted through this webinar. Someone said, can we share this URL with friends and family? Yeah, for sure. This is a page where any of these projects also have public profiles on SciStarter. Your friends and family can definitely do these projects. We just created this microsite to kind of make things easy to centralize all the Verizon projects in one place. But yeah, your friends and family are definitely welcome to these projects too. They just don't get volunteer time from Verizon. Okay, so our first project today is the Norika project. So for those of you who don't have smartphones, you can go ahead and start doing stall catchers. I'll actually kind of just end the show to show you. So this is the Verizon page. You all should have made your way here to start making your accounts. You can ignore step 1 for now. Just go ahead and make your account. For those of you who don't have a smartphone, you don't click on this Norika thing yet. If you don't have a smartphone, you can just go ahead, click on stall catchers, follow the instructions, and start participating in stall catchers while I'm talking. But if you do have a smartphone, please, I'm going to quickly go through why we're doing the Norika project and why it matters. And then we'll participate in it a little bit together. So once you make your SciStarter account, you'll scroll down on the page and you'll click on the Norika one if you have a smartphone and you want to participate today. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and show the Norika video because I really like it. The project leader, this project is based out, it's a global project. You can participate anywhere in the world, but it's based out of Trinity College in Dublin. So I'm going to go ahead actually and queue up this video and play it for you.
With Norika, we've hidden the science inside games that are genuinely fun to play, and you can play them at your leisure at a time that's convenient for you and still help us in the fight against disorders of the mind. To some extent, all of these tasks have been identified as early markers of key changes in the brain that might precipitate dementia. 450 million people around the world are currently suffering from a mental health condition. A further 50 million are living with dementia, and that number in particular is set to rise as our populations age in the next 30 to 50 years. Another gap that we have in research at the moment is that we tend to find effects that are small and detectable when we have a group of people, so a group of people with depression and a group of people without, and we can identify, maybe lifestyle factors or early events that differentiate those groups. But when we look at any individual within those groups, we can actually say very little. So really what this project is about is using modern techniques of data science to bring together multiple layers of evidence so we can start to make predictions that are meaningful on an individual subject level, not at these group levels, which we can't really action clinically. The more you play, simply put, the more we learn about the brain. The more we learn how it changes day by day, how you improve your ability with practice, and how some people's performance might change faster or slower than other people's. Norika is a free app that's available on the Google Play Store and on the App Store for iOS.
Interesting stuff, right? So I have some brief slides about it, and many of these slides actually came from the Norika project team. And there's another video that I have queued up just because I think it's really interesting about the Norika project, because the cool thing about it, it's a global project, right? But they're honing in on the individual. That's the innovation that makes this project special for mental health. And the video I'm going to show you in just a sec is about how the Norika team is doing it with a rugby team, which I think is just so cool. And they're, analyzing this rugby team's mental health in reference to COVID. They said, do we need to log into SciStarter on our smartphone, then go to Norika? Someone said, someone please post the YouTube link? Yes, definitely. So we're also live streaming this presentation to YouTube. And someone said, do we need to log on to SciStarter on our smartphone, then go to Norika? Yeah, so I recommend going to scistarter.org/Verizon. You're welcome to go ahead and set up your accounts while we're talking through the why of this project. scistarter.org/Verizon. It'll take, and then you, after you make your account, scroll down the page, click on the Norika subpage. You can read through the instructions and then click the Participate button for either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to download the free app. So that's scistarter.org/Verizon, make your account, use your Verizon email, click on Norika. It takes you to this page. We just watched the video that's embedded on this page. And then you can go ahead and start downloading the app. You are going to have to make a second account. That's how we have all these affiliate integrations set up with these different projects. But make your account with the same email address you use to make your SciStarter account. And that way it'll track for Norika and for any other project you might do. You may even do stall catchers today as part of your volunteer time. So yeah, just as a reiteration, you go to scistarter.org/Verizon, you click on the Norika project page. You can read these instructions while I'm talking to you about the why of the project. And then you click the button to either download the app on Google or Apple. It's free. And you make a second account using the same email address you used for SciStarter. And if any of that was unclear, you have those step-by-step instructions on the Verizon page too. Okay, so why are we doing this, right? So you download the app, you play it, and it's meant to be fun. Like, these are games that you might find on a normal smartphone, but these are games for science. So by playing these games and answering these questionnaires, you're providing data for researchers to analyze to learn something about mental health. And there are a bunch of different challenges. I'll demo a few of them for you today. So for some of them, they address Alzheimer's, right? So they address different risk factors for Alzheimer's, and they also include some science education too. You should leave this project having learned something new as well. That's part of this project's goals. And right now, with things like Alzheimer's or just brain health in general and mental health in general, it's hard to make personalized predictions. So Norika is leveraging already existing findings. So the fact that we know that a third of dementia cases are preventable via different risk factors, right? Like stopping smoking. That's a risk factor of dementia that people could stop doing that and reduce their risk. So the risk factors challenge on the Norika app addresses these different things. So this is Norika, in addition to being a research project, a citizen science project, is also a large-scale public health initiative where they're trying to teach you something. A Norika moment, right? Like neurology, like the nerd part with Eureka, like the discovery word. And they're gamifying this research and also gamifying a learning opportunity for you. And you get insights about yourself as well. I've been doing, so some of these, if you start some of these activities on Norika, it can go for as long as 6 weeks. Some of them you can just do in a day. So if you decide after today's event you don't want to keep participating, that's totally okay. But you can also keep participating, continue to get volunteer credit. So go to the ongoing Norika event on the Verizon volunteer platform and log your time. And keep participating for, for any one of these like longer running challenges that go for like 6 weeks or so. But yeah, so you download, you play, you learn to help the researchers at Trinity College in Dublin understand mental health and dementia. So a little bit about the people who are participating alongside you. Average age is 39 years old. This is a sample of about 2,000 users. 62% of the folks who have participated so far are female. 43% do not have a college degree, and 300 plus of these 2,000 or so users that are sampled here have a family history of dementia. But they've had about 7,000 users so far in 94 different countries. So what you're seeing here is just of a sample of about 2,000. So these are just some of the things that you're going to see in the app. It's all sorts of different games. The Memorize game is hard. I was struggling yesterday when I was doing it with the Sunday people, but that's okay. You don't have to be good at these games. You're still providing valuable data for these researchers. And they're testing different things about how you make decisions and how your brain works. And for the questionnaires, you're reporting different things. You're reporting your demographics, some questions about your mental health. I've been answering questions about my mental health as part of one of their ongoing questionnaires for a few weeks. Lifestyle, attitudes, awareness. And these are all different things that impact your mental health that you can let the folks at Norika know about. The great thing about Norika is they also take your privacy really seriously. So they are governed by GDPR, that's the European privacy law. So you can delete your data at any time, and they have all of that in the app for you. If you ever want to read through their privacy statement, it's actually in pretty plain English. I read through it. And they're only using your data for research, and it's free. They're not sending it to Verizon. They're not sending it to your employer. They're not even sending it to SciStarter. We only have the participation statistics, the number and frequency of your contributions. We don't have any data about what you actually submitted. So that hopefully that helps put you at ease as you participate. So these are just some of the goals of the project. They inform about dementia risk factors. They're developing knowledge of Alzheimer's disease. They're improving science literacy, and they're tracking and monitoring brain health behaviors related to mood disorders, depression, and a host of other topics. So this is just some of the learning you can do, like learning about different risk factors for dementia, and maybe even reducing your risk for dementia. You can also learn about Alzheimer's disease. I thought this was kind of cool, so I wanted to highlight it, that you can answer different true and false questions and then take the quiz again in 2 weeks. You can learn more about the process of science in general, like looking at the read all about it one's pretty fun, and it helps improve science literacy. So that's part of their research too. They're also doing some research in science literacy as well. Multi-mood's the one I've been doing. So you're answering questions about your mood, and it's measuring changes in mood over 2 months. And the main research question for this particular project is an understanding why some people become depressed and finding some early warning signs for depression. So some next steps for Norika, they're hoping to develop new technology, maybe some based on all the data they collect and analyze, machine learning to predict dementia. And answering the question, can biomarkers predict changes in symptoms? So certain things about you and your demographics Could that, because mental health is so individualized, brain health is so individualized, they're going to look at those individual linkages between your demographics and how your symptoms manifest. You're going to add some more challenge. They're adding more challenges. They actually added some of these since I got these slides from the project leader, which is pretty cool. Well, the video we watch is going to talk a little bit about compulsive me. They're expanding their user base. So that's part of you all. You all are new users. Hooray! And your contributions really matter. And they want to engage some researchers too. So share the data with researchers who need it and want to understand the world. So that's the compulsive me. We're going to watch a video on this, so I won't say too much on this, but basically the premise is everyone's affected by compulsive thoughts. You choose a compulsive behavior that you want to monitor, and actually presents a graph for you at the end about changes in your compulsivity. So the compulsive behavior I've been monitoring is smartphone usage. I'm a little addicted to my phone, and that's okay. But I'm trying to understand it and understand how it impacts my mental health. So I've been doing the compulsive me challenge. And also, just before we watch the next video, just thank you again for participating, for sharing information about your mental health with these researchers to help them understand brain health, dementia, and mental health. And there's a question in the chat. Every time we play, are they gathering our time for Horizon volunteering? So you monitor your time each time you participate. Your time for today's event is covered. However, I'll go back to the slide with it. We're traveling back in time. If you want to play again, and if you want to keep on participating, you would log your time via this event on the Verizon Volunteer platform. The event ID is 6493, and it's called Help Mental Health Research by Playing a Game. And I'll end the show really quick. I'll just throw it in the chat so you have it. And this is for future reference. So don't log your time for today through this event. It's just if you want to keep participating, that's where you log your time. Okay, so I gave you a rapid fire introduction to Norika. So if you want to go ahead and I'll put the direct link to SciStarter in the chat too. So that's scistarter.org/Verizon, and then you can click on the Norika icon, or you can just go directly to the link I put in the chat. Make your SciStarter account with your Verizon email. And if you want to go ahead and follow along and make your account with either an Android or iOS system, so Google or Apple, go ahead and do that. And while you get your account set up, so you made your SciStarter account, and now you're making a second Norika account with the same email address, hopefully your Verizon email. I'm going to go ahead and play a video while you get your account set up.
Recent research shows that Ireland has one of the highest rates of mental health conditions in Europe. It is estimated that nearly 20% of our population has experienced some form of mental health episode. In European terms, that accounts for nearly 84 million people. Changemaker Claire Gillen is based at the world-renowned Global Brain Health Institute at Trinity College Dublin.
What we're trying to do at GBHI, or one of the goals, is understand, what puts someone at risk for a disorder of the mind, and how we can give people back the tools to mitigate that risk themselves.
Claire's lab is combining the latest app technology with citizen science in order to track behaviour in real time. Working with the players of Monaghan Rugby Club, she hopes to get a clearer picture of habits and behaviour, both from an individual and group level.
My lab is interested in using data science to better understand the brain, why we behave the way we do, and what complex interactions exist between our genetics, our environment, and certain psychological states. We hope that by leveraging this powerful technology, we can improve how we treat people who suffer from disorders of the mind, but also improve the brain health of the population at large. So there's basically a lot of decision points that one has to make in determining...
Claire and her team at the Gillen Lab are looking at how our behaviour and mood can be related to brain health, and how our behaviour is then linked to more chronic conditions, such as compulsive behaviour and addiction.
And to make sure that the data transfer there is done.
What we're looking at is how people get stuck in episodes of illness, where it seems like all the mental health experiences that they have, their stress, their anxiety, their sleep, are actually reinforcing one another over time. And we think of that as being an acute state of mental illness, and that these network models can really help us understand the unique form that takes for different individuals.
Celine Fox is one of the team who is working on the Norika phone app that combines citizen science with big data technology.
Users of Norika can complete lots of different science challenges, and one of the challenges we've developed is called Patternwise, and Patternwise allows people to track any problematic behaviours that they have. So for example, if you feel bothered by the amount of food you're eating, or your gambling behaviour, your smoking, drug taking, nail biting, any kind of behaviour, you can track that behaviour over time and see what the triggers are for that behaviour and what's causing it.
It's pre-season at Monaghan Rugby Club, and Celine has come to introduce some of the team to Patternwise.
We're going to show the guys how to download Norika, and then within Norika we have a feature called Patternwise, and Patternwise allows you to track your habits. So all of the guys are going to pick a habit that they're interested in seeing change over time, and they'll track that for 6 weeks.
So I suppose it's tracking compulsive disorders, I suppose. One that I'd be focusing on is probably how much you're using your phone.
You used to leave the house without your shoes, but now you don't leave without your phone. Probably don't bother with computers or anything. It's all done through your phone, and your phone's in your pocket, your phone's on your kitchen table, your phone's beside your bed. It's everything nowadays.
I suppose the boys, we all left off in a kind of disappointing time last year because we were doing so well through the season, but COVID obviously stopped it short. From being out here 3-4 times a week, then completely stopping, it was hard on both physically and mentally, but you had to truck through it. And I suppose this new app that we've been looking at will help highlight the more mental side of things, because everyone kind of would think more on the physical, but I think the mental side was more strenuous over the COVID period.
When someone downloads Norika, they automatically become a citizen scientist. And that means that they're really helping us to understand brain health, but also to solve the big mysteries in brain science. So there's a lot of value not only to us by collecting people's data, but also to people who use the app themselves. And every time they complete Patternwise, a graph of their data is updated so they can see those changes in their own habits over time.
From the demonstration, you can see that there's questions to be asked and you have to answer them. So it's going to make you think about your answers, and it is only 3 times a day. So hopefully as time goes on, you'll see the trends change personally, and the study will hopefully learn something from it too.
Back at Trinity, Brian Penny is approaching the end of his doctoral studies. He is an important consultant of Norika, and he brings a valuable real-life insight to the studies.
I was a heroin addict for 15 years. It was a compulsive, addictive behaviour. And for me, anxiety is what drove my addiction, what drove those compulsive behaviours, what drove me to use. And I'm really interested in the work that Claire is doing here, because they're looking at the bi-directional relationship of emotional pain, emotional discomfort, and how that can drive compulsive behaviour.
That are just using information that we gathered from people at baseline to actually, that could aid in a clinical decision. So something, the data you could provide in one day, and that might tell clinicians something really about what we should do for this person. So the app is a game changer in moving away from population or group level findings right down to individual findings. We can build individualized pictures, and then we can also take groups of people together who are all, who are all tracking their nail biting, or who are all tracking their gambling, and see if there's just fundamental differences in how those networks look depending on what the behaviour is.
So for me, academically, in terms of my own PhD work here in Trinity, and in terms of experientially of what I experienced, I'm just looking to contribute with Claire's work and to really get some insights myself, because it's fantastic work that's going to help a lot of people. And if I had tools like this when I was in addiction, it would have been a game changer for me.
6 weeks later, and Monaghan Rugby Club are away to local rivals Virginia in a tightly contested local derby. Claire is back to talk to Mark McCardle about the app, which now has over 300 active participants.
So one of the interesting things we're doing now is we're hoping that the sorts of data we've got from the lads can help us understand how clinical therapies work better. So we have a number of projects looking at these same kind of behaviours in Patternwise as people go through interventions. And the idea is that we can start to figure out what the active ingredients of those interventions are, understand why they work for some people but not for others.
It hasn't been a positive result for Monaghan, and the points this time go to Virginia.
A lot of people have chosen to track their phone use in the app, and one of the things that we're seeing in the early data is that there's really self-reinforcing feature to phone checking that isn't seen there in other sorts of compulsive behaviours. So when you check your phone, it's actually more likely to cause you to check it again the next time and again the next time.
I enjoy sort of technology and things like that, and that's what sort of introduced me to the app at first. And at the start, it took a wee bit of getting used to it because it alerts you every 3 or 4 times a day. Like, I did see a result out of it. When you start to see that, you go, maybe it was worth putting that effort in for the time that it took. When you were tired, I tended to find that I was using the phone more just to pass time, whether it's early in the morning, late in the evening, or whether you've had a match and you're tired that next morning, you tend to look at the phone a bit more often.
But what's interesting about that as well is that that's not necessarily a pattern that everybody has, and you can see in this like average of all the users so far, that's not there. That's where the advantage of having this personalized network to you comes into effect, right? Because for you, really, that link might be really important, and that's what we need to break, especially if it was a more serious compulsive behavior than phone checking.
It only took me 5 minutes, not even in the whole day, to complete the questionnaires. And if that's as simple as it is, why not help? You could be helping your neighbour, your family, not even knowing it.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that video. I put the link in the chat to it in case you want to watch it again. We'll also add it to the SciStarter Norika page. I'm going to pause here for just a second and see if everybody was able to make their accounts. Did anybody have any issues? Are we all good to go with our Norika accounts? Okay, sounds like we're good to go. I'm going to start sharing my screen because I'm going to demo some of the Norika project for you. Okay. Cool. So we're going to go to Norika. I am already logged in to Norika. If I wasn't logged in, or if I just made my account, I would have seen the consent page. But as a reminder, you can go to settings and read through the study ID isn't relevant. I clicked on the wrong thing. You can read through the privacy stuff to your heart's content. So like GDPR, general data protection rights. You can erase your data at any time. So that's an option for you too. You have all the research info and consent here. So, basically what you agreed to take part in and what data you're sharing and how they're using it to analyze it. And they also have different resources, which I think is pretty cool. For different countries, they have resources about suicide prevention, or depression and anxiety, which I think is really great and really helpful. Okay. So basically the way this thing works is you have different questionnaires you can fill out, and you also have different challenges you can do. So we can do the risk factors thing is what we were talking about earlier, identifying different risk factors related to dementia. I don't know. It's hard to see which one I want to demo. There are so many fun ones. Maybe we'll start with a questionnaire. I want to answer this questionnaire about sleep. I've already completed it. Okay, that makes sense. I'm very passionate about sleep. Maybe I can answer this one about stress. In this questionnaire, we will ask you to identify stressful things that have happened to you in the past year from a list. This is not a fun task, but it's really important for figuring out how and why we all react differently to stress. Okay, y'all are about to learn a lot about me. Have not had death of a spouse, divorce, marital separation, no jail, no close family member death. Yes, I did get COVID. Haven't been married, haven't been fired, haven't reconciled, haven't retired. Yes, I did have major change there. No pregnancy, no sex difficulties. I've not gained a new family member. I have had major business readjustment. Major change in financial state, no. Death of close friend, no. Changing to different line of work, no. Major change in arguments with spouse? No. Taking on a mortgage? Nope. I am in graduate school. Foreclosure on a mortgage? Nope. Major change of responsibilities? Yes. Son or daughter leaving home? Nope. No in-law travels. Outstanding personal achievement? Yes. Actually, I'm excited to share this with you all. I got a big scholarship yesterday, and UF showed up to my house and gave me this handy dandy megaphone, which was kind of fun. Okay, so yes. Spouse beginning or ceasing to work outside the home? No. Beginning or ceasing formal schooling? Yes. I started graduate school. Major change in living condition? Yes. Revision of personal habits? No. Troubles with boss? No. Major changes in working hours? Yes. Changes in residence? Yes. Changing to a new school? Yes. Major change in amount of recreation? Yeah, I've been working a lot more. Major change in church activity? No. Major change in social activities? Yes, working a lot more. Taking on a loan? No. Major change in sleeping habits? I've actually been sleeping more, so I'll put yes. Major change in number of family get-togethers? No. No change in eating habits. I have had a vacation. I've had some major holidays. I have not violated the law. Why this matters. Did you know that the brain changes in response to stress in a way that is usually helpful? But chronic exposure to stress contributes to an allostatic load, which is wear and tear of the body and brain that can stick around long after the stress is gone. Your data are helping us figure out how we can boost resilience to stress and keep your brain at 100%. Cool. So there are more of these questionnaires that you could do. But let's do the Patternwise game. I missed my last assessment. Oops. Okay, let's do MetaMind then. And the main thing about this is just do as much as you can. As you can see, I missed my last assessment. That's okay. I'm still a good citizen scientist. I still do as much Norika as I can. I'm a human being. And you all can just do your best too. Okay. Oh, I've already played this game and now, so this game is kind of cool. I played this game yesterday. You make it through how to, basically different levels to assess how good you are at recognizing different patterns. And then they have you fill out some questionnaires. So I'll just do the one on apathy really quick. I get things done during the day. Yes. I am intense. I've been told that. I have initiative and I have motivation. Okay. So I could keep on doing questionnaires, but I want to try to find a game to demo for you. We could do maintain your brain. No, it's not a game, it's a quiz. Yes, I want to quit it. Okay. Okay, this is the Alzheimer's one you saw earlier, where you answer one questionnaire about Alzheimer's, then you do it again in 2 weeks to see how much you learned. Let's do the risk factors challenge. Play 3 games. All right, let's play the first game. So this is all about helping researchers find new ways to detect dementia early. You'll be asked to play 3 games and complete 10 questionnaires. Okay, so this game takes 8 minutes. So this is going to be our last Norika game before I quickly demo stall catchers for you and then set you free to work on your own and complete the projects, because learning by doing is the most fun part. Okay, commit the symbols to memory. All right. All right, so we have a gray Z and a pink Y. And by the way, you can also just play on your own while I'm demoing this for you. We got a gray Z and a pink Y. Okay, and we got that little purple thingamajig and that pink thingamajig. Ooh, what was the pink one? I think it was that. No, it wasn't. Was it this? No, it wasn't. Well, I'm gonna be bad at this game, I already know. Purple. Oh no, what was it? Okay, we got a pink P and a pink F. Pink P, pink F. Okay, we got that purple, like sideways hourglass and that blue shape. I think that was the blue one, and then so it seems like I'm developing techniques to get better at this. I'm kind of narrating it to myself, which helps, which is a technique you all could try too. So purple S, gray C. Got the baby blues. Okay, KY. Okay, and then where was the Y? There it is. Okay, so that was one level of the game, which I think gives a good example for you. I'll exit out here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I want to pause and see if anybody has any questions about Norika so far. So it's a combination of games and questionnaires to test different things about mental health, dementia, and brain health in general. Any questions? Does anyone want me to demo anything else for Norika before I move on to stall catchers? Awesome. And yeah, you'll have the rest of the hour to participate in Norika to your heart's content. And remember, you can keep on playing for weeks. There are some challenges that go on for a few weeks by logging your time in the ongoing event on the Verizon volunteer platform. That being said, if you just want to participate for today and have your time counted in today's volunteer event, that's A-okay as well. And you can just do some of the more, today challenges and questionnaires in the project. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen again. I'm going to go to my PowerPoint. And, we have a question. What should be the frequency of completing the questionnaires? I believe the majority of the questionnaires are one time, unless it's different for a given challenge, and then Norika will let you know. But that being said, you can just do the ones that are relevant for today. Just click through and see the ones that like the stress one. You can just do that one today and be done with it. And you can do that for the rest of the hour. Then we got a question in the Q&A box. Is it helpful for researchers for us to do the questionnaires early on? I think it's neutral. Just do them when you have time. For some of the questionnaires, like the Alzheimer's one, where they wanted you to do the quiz now and then again in 2 weeks. If you do it again in 2 weeks, for example, that one's a special one where they have a special time constraint. You could log your volunteer time through the ongoing event if you decide to do it again in 2 weeks, for example, for that particular one. We have another thing in the chat. Someone said, I entered the late. Can I play my games on the computer? I must use a cell phone. You are in luck, Myra, because the one we just did is cell phone oriented. And if you entered late and you want to get volunteer time for Norika, or if you want some instructions for Norika, you can watch the YouTube video. This is being live streamed to YouTube. I'll put that in the chat. But the one we're about to do, you can do on a cell phone or a computer. So if you just have a computer, you can do stall catchers and participate that way. Okay, so I put the link in the chat to the live stream in case anyone joined late and they want to get caught up. So stall catchers. So this is a cool one. You're able to move. This is a separate project. So we just wrapped up our Norika demo. I'm going to try to leave you all ample time to participate on your own in Norika. But stall catchers is a separate project. So Norika, you got to have a smartphone to participate, either Android or Apple. Stall catchers, you can just do it on your computer. Separate project. Someone said, and about me, what are the 3 grace themes on the bottom? For some of the challenges, you're able to unlock them over time. So you saw me doing the Megamind one. I'd already done a bunch of that yesterday. So new questionnaires have been unlocked for me. The main thing with Norika is you can just click through different challenges and start doing them. And different things will be unlocked for you. Someone said stall catchers is a trip. Yes, go Polly. Let's have some fun. Okay, so I'll answer some more questions about Norika at the end, but just really quickly, I also wanted to introduce stall catchers to you all so you can get volunteer time for it, especially because Mental Health Awareness Month, stall catchers is all about dementia, which is really connected to your brain. So with stall catchers, a good thing to remember is if you want to participate in it today, for volunteer time, your time's already counted through this webinar event. But if you want to keep on doing it, and we encourage you to, because it would be awesome if you did, you can do it through the ongoing event on the Verizon volunteer platform. That being said, if you want to go ahead and just jump to it now, you can go to scistarter.org/Verizon. And if you've already made your SciStarter account, you can just click on the stall catchers icon and you can just start participating while I'm talking. But I think it's important for me to explain why we're doing this first. So stall catchers, Verizon volunteers have actually already made a huge impact with this project. They got featured on Discover Magazine's website. I wanted to share some words from Cheryl. She's a fellow V-teamer. I think she's just awesome. She found stall catchers really empowering. She'd lost a loved one to dementia, and she participated in stall catchers in their memory, in their honor. And this is a direct quote from her that was in the article. It just gives you the satisfaction of being able to have the opportunity to do something to actually help. You can get right in there and participate in analyzing the data for the research that hopefully will be able to prevent or find a cure for Alzheimer's or related dementia. If someone is dealing with it within their family or themselves, it's just a satisfying way to take part in helping with the research. So I found Cheryl really inspiring, and she's, a fellow V-teamer just like yourselves. And if any of you have like a why behind doing a different project, any project in our community, one of the environmental ones, a health one, whatever, you can email me about it anytime. So I'll put the community link in the chat. I'm also going to put my email, info@scistarter.org. Email me about it anytime. We'd love to feature your story on, SciStarter's website or Discover Magazine's website, because by sharing your story, we inspire other people from all around the world in Verizon and outside of Verizon to participate in citizen science. So don't be shy about sharing your story. And stall catchers is a really popular project. People invite me to join their staff meetings all the time to get started with it. So I'm always happy if you want to book some of my time. Anytime I love filling into staff meetings on Blue Jeans or whatever and doing stall catchers with you. And you can find stall catchers on scistarter.org/Verizon. You'll just scroll down and click the stall catchers icon. And I'll show you that in just a sec. But first, I want to quickly you can go ahead and start making your stall catchers account, by the way, if you want. If you already have your SciStarter account, you can go ahead and start making your stall catchers account. But I think this is important, so I'm going to quickly understand the why behind this research. So something that the Cornell University-based team behind stall catchers and the Human Computation Institute found out is that there's 30% less blood flow in the brain of someone with Alzheimer's. And the reason why is there are clogged blood vessels in the brain that are stalling things. They're called stalls. And a novel finding by this research team is that restoring blood flow restores memory and reduces other symptoms in mice. So when we participate in stall catchers, we're actually analyzing videos of mouse brains. And each data set is testing something different about Alzheimer's. And ideally, we'll be able to take these findings, these discoveries from mice, and apply them to humans. So before volunteers got involved, when it was just in the lab, and it was just, like undergrads or whomever being paid to analyze these blood vessels, it took 6 to 12 months to answer one research question. But with stall catchers, with volunteers, passionate people like yourselves who really want to answer this question, with thousands of people from all around the world, more than 28,000, and 50 to 100 playing every day, and there's almost always a Verizon volunteer playing, which I think is kind of cool, 50 to 100 playing every day, the research has sped up times 5. It's 5 times faster than it was before, which means that it only takes 1 to 2 months now to answer a research question. And these are really, this is real science. By participating in stall catchers, you are conducting real annotations for researchers. You're conducting real science. And these get published in really prestigious scientific journals like Nature. Sometimes, as you can see here, the volunteers will get cited as co-authors, which I think is really cool because you all have worked so hard to analyze this data and you deserve credit. And stall catchers, I'll show you it in a second. I really like their blog on their website because they explain these research findings in plain English, like what they actually discovered about Alzheimer's disease and how things like exercise impacted in mice. They'll give it to you straight. So it's not just in, scientific gibberish, which I think is kind of nice. But the main goal of this project is they want to piece together a molecular pathway for reduced brain blood flow in Alzheimer's. So I'm going to show you where to find it on SciStarter. So let's say I'm on scistarter.org/Verizon. I scroll down, I click stall catchers. I can read all about it if I want. It's here for you later. You can also, there's extra info for Verizon volunteers if you want to get a little bit more in the weeds. Here's a video from the project leader that you can watch later. And then I get to the participate button, the important part. I'm already logged in, but if I wasn't logged in, I would see this screen. I'd click join now, and I input my email address and my username. And we ask that you use the same email that you use to sign up for SciStarter. So you would do that, and then you click sign up, and you're good to go. But I'm already logged in, so I'm gonna go log in. And as you can see, I'm on the All Verizon Squad team, that you can change your team if you want in the upper left-hand corner. There's a league for Verizon. So you can click the Verizon League and join. A lot of Verizon people have made their own teams just for fun and put them in the league. I made this team for All Verizon Squad. I'm actually gonna go ahead and put it in the chat. If you already have a Stall Catchers account and you click on this link I just put in the chat, it'll automatically add you to the All Verizon Squad team. And anytime you wanna get back to the main Stall Catchers page, you just click catch in the upper left-hand corner. So what we're looking at right here is a video of a mouse's brain. And this video is playing on a loop. You see the movie frame in the bottom right-hand corner here underneath the video. And you want to look at the circled area, and you want to look at the flow of white that most closely matches the shape of that circled area. If you see any persistent, unmoving black spots in that flow of white, that means that blood vessel is stalled. If there are black spots but they're moving, that means it's flowing. I'm pretty sure this one's flowing. And so we're almost at the end of this data set. It says 100%, but in reality, it just means there are kind of a few videos left. And not many other people have analyzed this video yet. It's only been about 15 folks so far. So that's how I know I'm on the tail end of this data set. But typically, a few thousand people analyze each video, and Stall Catchers works really hard to make sure those are accurate. They found that actually the crowdsourced answer is more accurate than the lab tech's answer very often when they clear it with experts. And the beauty of Stall Catchers is people always ask me, can machines do this? Why can't a robot do this? The answer is not yet. Robots aren't good enough yet. However, what machines can do is there are machine learning techniques that give you an accuracy score. So it tells you, and what that really means is it's just telling you how often your annotations agree with the other players. And by doing that, it weights your contribution, so you can kind of participate without worrying of messing up the research, because they use some weighing techniques to make sure they have the most accurate result. And whenever you annotate, so I'm going to do this one really quick. So I'm looking at the circled area. I'm looking at the flow of white that most closely matches the shape of the circled area. And I'm trying to see if there are any persistent, unmoving black spots in that flow of white. And a quick note about the video quality. Some videos are better quality than others. That's just the way the cookie crumbles with research sometimes. And you just make do with what you have. And they have a comments function, so I'm pretty sure this is flowing, so I'm going to say flowing. We'll see what the answer is. Okay, so if I had really strong feelings, like if, you know, 1,000 people had said stalled and only 10 had said flowing, but I knew it was flowing, I could say it was flowing. Or in the reverse, right? If I was in the minority and I really thought it was stalled, I could say the particular movie frame, like movie frame 46, I'm pretty certain it's stalled. And I could say that in the chat box. One thing to note too, because these are videos of brains, sometimes, you know, it's a 3D thing, but we're viewing it in 2D. Sometimes the blood vessels are kind of confusing because they're on top of each other. That's why they have the circle. And you just try to look at the blood vessel that most closely matches the shape of the circled area. So I'm looking at the flow of light in the circled area. Okay, I'm pretty certain this one's flowing too. I am on the tail end of this data set. Okay, sometimes they also have training videos peppered in. I think this one might be a training video, or like older videos where they're already pretty certain of the answer, just to kind of recalculate your score. So I'll let you guys guess this one. So it's playing on a loop. We're looking at the circled area. We want to look at the flow of white that most closely matches the shape of that circled area, because we know that flow of white's a blood vessel. And we want to see if there are any persistent unmoving black spots in that flow of white. So you let me know in the chat, is it flowing or is it stalled? Flowing or stalled? Let me know in the chat. I am waiting for your votes, everybody. We got a majority of flowing. One person said stalled. Majority flowing though. I'll give you a few more seconds to make your voice heard. Make your voice heard in the chat, flowing or stalled. Okay, I'm seeing a majority for flowing, so we're gonna say flowing. Yes, and it looks like we agree with 3,589 other people, but some people protested and said, hey, there's a stall in frame 38. I don't agree with them. I see a black spot, but I think I saw that thing moving, so I don't think it's stalled. But that's stall catchers in a nutshell. And if you look on their blog, you know, they explain things in plain English. Like one example is I showed you that headline from Nature. This is the first article where they cited all the catchers and their usernames, and it has this scientific kind of complicated wording, right? The plain text, you know, what we actually helped discover is that a high-fat diet increases the severity of Alzheimer's in mice, but not by increasing the frequency of stalls. So that's stall catchers in a nutshell. Remember, if you want to keep playing, you would go, you can play until 2 o'clock Eastern, so for the next hour, if you want, and get volunteer time through this webinar. Or you could, you know, just do Norika for the next hour and get volunteer time for this webinar, or you could split it up 50-50, it's up to you. But I put the link in the chat to the direct event on the Verizon volunteer platform if you end up really enjoying this and wanting to continue to volunteer. But that's what we covered today. I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to those 2 projects and then kind of set you loose on your own to participate on your own if you so chose. My email is info@scistarter.org. You can learn more about citizen science. Email me. If you want me to join a staff meeting and present for you, I'm happy to do that. Or if you just want to say hi, you can email me too or give me a call. I'm always here. And so we'll let you free for the next 55 minutes or so to participate and get volunteer time in these 2 projects. And remember, you can find both of them on scistarter.org/Verizon. And if you missed any part of this presentation, you can go to youtube.com/scistarter and you can watch this video for some brief instructions to learn how to do it. I'm going to hang on for a few minutes in case anybody has any questions. Get your questions in the chat or the Q&A. I'm here to help. And otherwise, you can go ahead and drop off and just start participating. I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, we have something in the Q&A. Let's see. Let's answer this in the Q&A. Someone said we have to do Norika on our phones. Yes, that's correct. You do need a smartphone for Norika, but you don't for stall catchers. So if you don't have a smartphone, just go ahead and participate in stall catchers. Hanging around, trying to see if there are more questions. Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. I appreciate you. Oh, my computer is hyperventilating. Let me switch to phone for our last few questions. Okay, I'm just hanging around, seeing if folks have any final questions. It doesn't look like it, so I'll set you all free.